extra vacation days, which it is anyway. Now, all right, I need you to try to, and you know me on these things, you better grab my attention quickly. What have you learned in what has now been 2 hours of a Senate hearing down at the legislation in Austin?
Bob Bowlesby was the most riveting person I heard speak. There was an economist from SMU. I think you heard some of that. That guy was kind of called in off the cuff on Friday, so he didn't bring much to the hearing, in my opinion, other than kind of platitudes about the economic impact. But 3 things from Bob Bowlesby, and I'm going to do these backwards. From when they were said. The Big 12 network, the reason there is not one is due in large part, of course, to the Longhorn Network. But also part of the reason there's no Big 12 network is 27 million people are in the footprint of Texas or in Texas. In the viewing area of the conference. There are only 8 million people among the other 8 schools in that conference, so that under the old cable model that there was, the footprint of the Big 12 was not very big when it came to why would you have a cable station all over the place when the footprint is mostly in Texas. And a lot of this discussion in the hearing was about the old cable model and the new streaming model, in that cable television makes money, for people who don't know, on the fact that they're charging you for something you're probably never going to watch. All these.
I saw this kind of like you piecemeal a buffet of what you want, correct?
Exactly. But so now they're going to a la carte, where you're only going to pay for what you want. So if you want Hulu, you get Hulu. If you want Disney Plus, you get Disney Plus, whatever on down the line. And cable is becoming a little bit a thing of the past. And as live sports move to streaming, they become even more valuable, because live sports is something you will watch commercials through because it's happening now, as opposed to if I wanted to watch a television show or a movie, I now can watch them straight through on streaming without those commercials. So they have more value in the streaming world. So that was one of the things he talked about. The Longhorn Network, not completely to blame, but now you can maybe understand why ESPN would go, well, if we're just going to do a network, we'll pick the biggest school in the state and put them on the network, and that would be essentially our Big 12 network. All right, and there's also this one. There is no specific bylaw for the dilution of the league. So the theory that Texas and OU would not be on the hook for anything should they leave the league and the league dissipates Bob Bowlesby used the term, that's for a judge to decide. But he did say that, look, if the league doesn't exist, then that's probably going to be the argument that Texas and Oklahoma would have, is that why should we have to pay these grant of rights or exit fees if the league itself doesn't exist?
All right.
But there's no law in the books that says that they have to.
Yeah, okay. Some of the other things that were said by Bob Bowlesby about the 12-team playoff, the tectonic plates have shifted since the recommendation was made. There's a lot of chatter about people not being excited to move forward given what's happened in the last couple of weeks. And, of course, we've discussed that throughout the show last week, that is some are now, wait a minute, not so fast, to use Lee Corso. Let's kind of tap the brakes here a little bit. What's going on here? We need to kind of find out how the dust settles. Mack Rhodes will be a part of this. Dr. Livingstone is there. Bob Bowlesby, of course, has been there as well. And when Paul, the grant of rights, there's a lot of things. Everybody has their own opinion on it. He also made a comment. You and I spoke about this as I was on my way to the studio. What was the comment Commissioner Bowlesby said about the Big 12 was interested in expansion, but Oklahoma and Texas perhaps were not?
Well, he said in response to a line of questioning from Senator Birdwell, who I believe is our senator, and Senator Birdwell was asking him about, okay, what was the timetable for the 18 teams you talked to? Did they give, they give you more than 10 days that Texas and Oklahoma have apparently given you now? And apparently Texas and Oklahoma haven't really given them any real notice of anything. So they've been strangely silent on this. But when he said we have had to, such has been the nature of the television contract and expansion, is that we have to tiptoe around Texas and Oklahoma because Texas and Oklahoma were always against expansion.
All right.
Which when you go back in history, the person who made the announcement about expansion and that they were going to look into it was the very bombastic David Boren, who now that looks like bull crap upon bull crap, because if his institution never intended to do it, then why was he the one who was, hey, look at us, we're going to expand?
All right, Craig Smoak will be back with us tomorrow.